Last week I hit the jackpot when I was at the Goodwill Bins, all as part of transforming my spring patio. So I've got a complete transformation and 10 amazing thrift flips. They are high-end dupes for just pennies on the dollar. So won't you join me? And let's get started. I wanted to give you just a quick little tour of what my patio currently looks like. My barbecue, the couch, some ottomans, and a beautiful fire pit. And I have actually two of these planters. And mainly I've got winter decor still up and my all year round decor. And as you can see, it's totally dusty as well. And I can't wait to transform it. I have had this patio furniture for 25 years, so it's time for a refresh. And so the first thing I'm going to do is hose everything down. Yes, let's spring clean. So I'm using a pressure washer, and I'm going to go ahead and speed this up. That is my sweet husband who is always by my side to help me. We've been married for 35 years, yes. So let's go ahead and wash all these down, and then we'll jump in to the next step. So while we're waiting for the furniture to dry, let's go ahead and jump into project number 2, which is to work on this giant frame that I got from the Goodwill Bins. And so what I'm doing is beginning to sand. I've got 180 grit sandpaper, and I am trying to distress this frame. So what I'm doing is hitting the edges. So I'm going to hit all the raised edges on this frame, and then I'm also going to go into where the flat parts are and do some additional distressing, and that is my sweet little dog Buddy, inspecting what I am doing. He is a very curious little dog, and I did this all by hand, but let me say, it took a very long time. So I suggest, if you have a power sander, that you do it with a power sander. And because I don't want you to have to sit and watch me sand the whole thing, I am going to speed it up, and then we'll cut on over to the next step. Now that it is sanded, I am taking a microfiber cloth and I am going over the entire frame where I sanded to pick up all those little pieces onto that cloth. And now we're going to white wax it, and I am using Joel Lee's finishing wax along with a wax application brush. And I'll put a link to all of the things that I am using in the description below in case you need any of these supplies. They'll be all Amazon links. And I am literally going over the frame. And again, I will speed that up for you to see. And now that I've got that on the entire frame, including all of the edges, what I'm going to do is take a clean cloth and then buff that down. And now what I'm going to do is just set it aside so it can dry. And now we're ready to go back to project 1, which is the furniture. It is all dry now. And so I am shaking up this spray paint really, really well. And I am applying it with this awesome sprayer trigger Boy, did that save my hand. And the color I'm using is Krylon Fusion. It's a primer all-in-one, and it is in the color River Rock. And I'll put a link to those items in the description below. And I'm putting on a coat of that over all of the furniture. And then I let that dry, and I came back in and did a second coat on all of it. And then yet again, even a third coat in some small areas that maybe I had missed. All in all, for all my furniture, it took 15 cans of spray paint. And let me show you the beautiful transformation. This is how it looks, and I'm going up close. Can you see those beautiful little faux wicker twisty pieces? They are showing a variegation in color because that's how it is made. And what I love about that is it really gave me a beautiful weathered look. And if you're noticing that the seats of the chairs are not painted, it is because we went to all the stores in our neighborhood and had to buy all the cans of spray paint, and I did not have enough to be able to paint the seats. But never fear, they're not going to show at all because we'll be putting cushions on them. And did you notice how flattened out and misshapen the cushions were that I had? Well, to replace them, it was going to be about $80 a set. And so I have 5 sets of those cushions, which would have been $400. So instead, I found this 5-inch foam on Amazon. Again, links below. And what I am doing is taking the original seat, and then I am using that as my template to draw the lines to measure out how I should cut the foam. And I'm going to use my electric knife to go ahead and cut it. And while we're working on this, know that I've got all of the covers in the wash cycle so that we can be sure to have clean covers once we have cut all of the foam. And if that box looks old, it is. We got that as a wedding present. So I don't mind using it for this because I really don't use the knife. So I was excited to have a use for it. And I'm just following that line all the way down to cut all the way through the foam. And it took a little bit, but it cut like butter. And when I got close to the bottom, I flipped the foam around because I did not want to cut through or ding up my floor. And I finished that small little cut on the top. And I did this for all of the 5 cushions. They look so nice and clean now. So I'm super happy with the way that turned out. And then the next thing that I need to do is kind of clip off all of these little stringies before I put in the new foam. Look at all this spaghetti that's on the inside. And I don't know how they ever got these other ones in with all of this. It makes it really hard to wiggle those inside. I have been wrestling with these new pieces of foam that I got and have cut to size, trying to figure out the best way. So I'm gonna show you what I have found to be the best way to work for me. And it is still difficult. It's firm, like thick foam, as you can see. So it is tough. So what I have done is stuck one end in and then kind of bend it to tuck it in over here. Now, you want to make sure that you do try to line your sides up when you're doing this because it is hard to straighten out once you get it on. So I am looking for these seams right here and trying to line the edge of my foam up with that on both sides. So I'm bending that in and I'm going to pull that over like that. Okay. The struggle is real. It is difficult. So I want to let you know that I am now going to start speeding this up just so you can see that it is a process. And I'm going to cut some pieces out as well. Success! Can you believe it? We got it done. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and add back in all of the cushions to our couch right here. So the total amount that I spent just on the couch was $75. And when I look at the Pottery Barn couch, it was $2,600. And can you believe that I saved $2,524? That is 97%. I love it. Let me know. Do you? Got my frame out here, and this is the frame that I did all the pretty distressing and white waxing on the front, and this is the back. And we're going to put some alien tape on here to be able to hang it up on our brick wall. And the beauty of it is that we won't have to put any holes in the brick. Oh, and you can see my sweet husband is helping me apply this super strong alien tape, and he is putting it all the way across the top of the frame. So we're going to just cut it, and we're going to put the same amount on the bottom. So we've got it on the bottom and the top, and we've pushed it on nicely, and we're just going to peel off the sticky. Now we're going to put it on the wall. I think like that. That looks good. Yeah, that looks good. And this frame only cost me $4 at the Goodwill Bins, which is a savings of $79.84 or 95% off. So now I just wanted to share a little bit of what else we've been up to. We've been working really hard on clearing out dead trees from the woods on our property. Can you believe it? This is our normal burn pit, but we are going to have someone come out and mulch all these trees so we can use all these dead trees as mulch. Now that we've cleared out all those trees in our woods, I wanted you to see that it revealed that we have some beautiful rocks. Look at those rocks with all the moss on them. And I thought this would be such a wonderful place to come out and to spend some time with God and to do some Bible studying or praying. I think nature always reveals God's goodness and His greatness, and it's such a blessing to have this space. So now let's go back to our projects and transforming the patio. I am working with another frame that I got from the Goodwill Bins, and I am going to coat this gold frame with that black chalkboard paint. And then it hit me, uh-oh, I wasn't supposed to do that yet. What I wanted to do was to try and make like a crackly finish or like a chippy finish on it. And so I'm wiping off that paint with a baby wipe. And I'm getting out my Liquitex matte medium, which is a form of a glue or a top coat. And I'm going to see if this will work. I'm going to coat the entire frame with that generously. So now it's time to go ahead and apply the black chalk paint to it, and it did take me 2 coats to cover the frame. And so now we're ready to take the heat gun to it and see if we can get it to chip. And oh, look, it is starting to bubble up, and that is so exciting. But I don't really see any cracking, but the bubbling up is working out really well. So now we're ready to take it outside and try and sand it to see if we can get some of those bubbles off. I've got my sander here. I have never used this before. I have no idea how to even turn it on. Okay. All right, we're off to the races. And so, again, I've never done this before, so I don't know if my technique is right or not, but I am just tapping it along the top where the ridges are to go ahead and take off some of that chalk paint and reveal the gold below. And now being a little bit more careful about going around the sides of the entire frame. And I'm also going to do the inside edge of the frame as well. And here is how it looks. I love how it turned out. And now let's add it to the wall. Okay, I put the alien tape on here and I pressed it into the wall, and we can move on to project number 4. This time we're going to be working on this birdhouse that I purchased from the Goodwill Bins, so probably just for like maybe $3 or so for the birdhouse and the base. And what I am doing now is trying another technique of trying to see which will work better. I'm applying just some beacon glue that I got from the Dollar Tree to the birdhouse. And what I'm going to do is leave that tacky, and then I'm going to apply some white chalk paint over the top of it to see if we can get this to chip. So I've got it all coated, and now I'm going to heat it with the heat gun to see if that will activate the glue underneath. And you can see that I've got some places where I've got a little bit too much paint on, and so I'm just wiping those off as I am heating it. And now look what's starting to happen. It's starting to bubble up. And so it's not cracking, but it is bubbling up. So I am hopeful that once I get this all heated up, when I go and sand it, those pieces will reveal the red paint below. And now I'm outside. I've got my sander ready, and I know how to turn it on this time. And so I'm doing the same thing. I'm applying the tapping motion to it and also holding it over the edges to sand those nice and well to reveal the red paint below. And I am finding that this is a little harder to stand to get into all those nooks and crannies, so I am going to have to take a hand sander to it. And just as an FYI, the matte gel medium worked much better than the glue that I used on this project to create that chipping look. So I am now back inside, and I've got my little hand sander and links in the below again. And what I'm doing is just trying to get into all the nice nooks and crannies to reveal even more of the red paint and also some of the plain wood as well. And now I'm ready to add a protective coat to it. And once again, I am going to use the Jolie's finishing wax in white. And I had a little bit of beige paint left over on this brush from another project. And I'm just leaving that in there just so that it will tone it down and age it a little bit all at the same time. And this is going to go outside on my patio, which is why I want to make sure it has that protective coat. Now, don't go away because I have so many more projects and we're going to see how they all come together. And I would love your opinion on it. And now I am loving the way that this is looking. What do y'all think? I hope you love it too. And what I need to do next is to work on the top. So this wire has been pretty stretched out and I do not want the green bead. So I'm just using some wire cutters and I'm trimming that off, and I am gathering my wood bead to be able to replace it. And I've taken my little marker and I've wrapped that wire around it to give it some more shape. And I'm just molding it into the form that I want with my hands. And I am applying that white wax to the bead because the bead is just natural and unprotected. and I'm ready to put that onto the birdhouse. Now I am going to use the small little bead that helps prevent it from falling off the end from the original one. I've just wired that right through and used some little pliers to bend the wire over so they won't come off. And with that, we are all done with this and ready to move on to an easy project, which brings us to project number 5. So I found these 2 ferns at the bins, and they were $9.99 at Hobby Lobby, and they both had their price tags on it. So I'm just going to take that off. And the first thing to do is always fluff your stuff. Just want to pull these apart, okay, like that. Then, as this one is a lighter color than this one, I want to mix the 2 together. Okay. Then I'm going to take them like this, bring some of the dark leaves over and under, and make sure I'm getting these lighter leaves in here as well. Doesn't that look great? I'm trying to make sure that I've got all the dark kind of encircling it. So, okay. So then I was thinking I need something to put them in as far as a pot. Now I have this dead pot from last year that clearly had some petunias in it. Okay, and it's just been sitting outside, so it's dirty. But I'm gonna put it in my planter because I do need it to be raised up. So I'm just gonna push my fern just like that, and then I'm going to take it to my planter. So there it is. You know, you can even see a little bit of the dirt inside, and I think it makes it look all the more natural. But look at that. Oh my gosh, L-O-V-E, L-O-V-E. So to compare this, I went onto the Walmart website, and for one, it was $18.50, and our dupe was only $1.59. So that's a savings of $16.91 or 91%. I'm sure you can see why I just love going to the bins. And so now that brings us to project number 6. I've got all my supplies from the bins that I've been collecting to make this wreath. So I got everything that I am showing you is from the bins. So I've got this wreath, I have this eucalyptus, I have these yellow flowers, I have these beautiful white ranunculus, I've got some boxwood, some baby's breath, some Queen Anne's lace, another piece of eucalyptus, and I even hauled this brand new roll of this burlap ribbon from the bins. So the first thing I'm gonna do is wrap this wreath, just because my doors are glass, so for no other reason other than to protect the glass on the door that I have. So I'm just applying a little bit of hot glue, and I'm gonna put this on the back. And then I'm just going to go ahead and stick the ribbon through the wreath and wrap the entire wreath. And now that the wreath is all covered with that burlap ribbon, I'm just going to cut it off and then hot glue it into place. And just beware if you're using your good scissors to kind of put it on the end of it, or you can use something like tin snips if they have wire in them. And once you've cut it, I am folding the end over just so that it has a finished edge, and I'm just hot gluing that in place. Okay, the next thing that I want to do is use this eucalyptus garland. And I want to do it on the outside of this wreath. And since the garland is wired, I am just bending it into the shape so that it will fit around the wreath. I've got my zip ties here. Each one of these pieces is wired, which is so great, really great. So I'm just wrapping that around, and I think what I'm gonna do, thread that through, and then I'm just gonna go around the outside here and align it with my wreath to hold it in place. And I'm gonna use some zip ties, and then I will shape it afterwards. And I think I'm gonna try to zip tie it more in the second hole rather than on the very outside, because these are so long, these little eucalyptus pieces. And you could use wire or anything else. And I'm just pulling it through the zip tie. I'm pulling tight on it, and then I'm going to cut off the excess, and then I'm going to repeat that process around the entire outside of the wreath. And I am continuing to fluff out the branches as I go along. And now we're at the place where the strands are overlapping each other, and I am still going to continue on because I want this wreath to be nice and full. So I'm continuing to zip tie that and use the rest of that garland. And this part goes a lot faster because I am zip tying the item to the one that is already on there rather than to the wire form. And now I'm just going to take my other spare branches of eucalyptus, also hauled from the bins, and fill in the spots so that I can have eucalyptus twice around the edge of the wreath. And I'm continuing to fluff out all the eucalyptus that I have to make sure that it is nice and full. And what I realized is, you know what, to make it look really high end, it needs even more. So now I'm taking my boxwood pieces and I'm inserting those into the wreath as well. And any of the other spare greenery that I have too. And I love a messy, natural look. I think that is really in style right now for farmhouse, cottagecore, or any style that you like. And it looks nice and full, but I think it would look even better, even more full than this. So I've used up all my greenery that I got from the bins. I have some flowers to put in, but I can still see this. And so I want to add this, which I did get from Hobby Lobby. It was $13.99 for the whole garland, and it was 40% off when I got it. So I'm gonna take that tag off, and what I want to do is mimic the same direction that the eucalyptus is going in. And I want to lift the eucalyptus up and try and get this boxwood as deep inside of here as possible. And again, I'm gonna try not to use really hot glue because I really want to be able to use this again. I am probably gonna have to cut it though. What I want to do is try and put as many of the branches facing up as possible. So now I am just going to wire this branch, well, zip tie it to the eucalyptus that's already on here. And I'm just kind of lifting this up. And I want to push the eucalyptus out, and then I can figure out where I want the eucalyptus and I can put it back in. Okay, I've got all the boxwood zip tied in, and so now I'm going to go ahead and clip off the excess and use the zip tie to hold that final piece in place. And so now I'm just fluffing out the wreath or zhuzhing it up to see what else it needs. And I think I'm going to add a few of the white flowers. So let's go ahead and put it on the door and see how it looks. I am loving how messy and natural that is looking. And let's compare it to this Pottery Barn wreath, which was $149. Ours cost us about $6, which is $143 savings, which is 96% off. And I think our wreath looks better. How about you? What do you think? Please let me know in the comments below. And now we're ready to move on to project number 7. Okay, so this is that cute bunny bin that I got at the Goodwill Bins. And these are some blocks of wood that I got at the Goodwill Bins, and they're gonna be perfect in here for risers for my little plants. So there is my first one. And there is my second one. How cute is that? I love it. And that brings us to project number 8. And we are making a pegboard. Now, I got this board off a garage sale for free. I love how chippy it is and old it is. And my sweet husband is helping me by drilling the holes in. And once he's got the pilot holes in, then he's going to screw in each of the knobs. We're going to add 3 different little drawer pulls as knobs to hang things off of. And I want to give a special shout out to my sweet friend Dale of Not Too Shabby Chic, who gave me all of these wonderful drawer pulls. And also, I want to say this project was 100% inspired by the Pottery Barn book that I hauled from the Goodwill Bins last week. If you missed that haul, that's where all this came from and so much more. And I will put a link to that at the end of this video. And once they were all screwed in, it was time to give them a protective coating because they're going to be outside. And once again, I am utilizing the Jolie's white wax. I'm telling you, I love this on everything. I set this out to dry overnight, and let's go ahead and take it outside and we can style it. Okay, I've gone ahead and added that alien tape to this on the top and the bottom, and I am ready to go ahead and install it on the wall. Okay, look how it looks. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And so I'm going to use the brick to help me make sure I get this on here straight. And I'm just going to kind of see approximately, that's about right, that it's in the middle of this wall. So I'm just going to line it up with the bottom of that brick and press that in nice and good. Next, to style that, I got this little basket yesterday, and I bought this off someone in garage sale. It came with a set of 3, but they were all circular. And so did you know you could reshape your bag? All you have to do is wet it. I used warm water, and then I bent it into the shape so it wasn't a hard circle because I knew I wanted to hang it from here. And I just clipped it with these little binder clips that I did for overnight. And I tied on this adorable carrot, also made for me by my sweet friend Dale. And I think that looks so cute hanging there, right? It could even be like open. There we go. I think that looks all the best. And the other thing that I want to hang on here to start with right now is a dog leash from my sweet little doggie. Our doggie's name is Buddy. And so I'm going to put this sweet little leather dog leash right on there. Oh my gosh. I think this is the cutest thing. This back door is the door that we use the most. So we don't really use our front door at all, truth be told. And so this is where we come in and go out. And so this will be so perfect to hang things from. And that brings us to project 9. Can you believe it? We're on number 9. Okay, so this is the picnic basket, and this is the lining that's kind of yellowed and has some stains. So all I want to do is take this off. It looks like it's stitched on with some old fishing line. So all I have to do is just cut this off. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the inside. I've got all the lining cut out, and so my next step is just to wipe this down with a sanitizing wipe. And I am not going to use this for picnicking or putting food in. I'm just going to use it outside on the patio for decor for the spring and summer. Okay, I'm going to finish cleaning this up, and then we'll go on to the next step. The next step is to repair this. It's come a little bit loose, and all I'm going to do is just hot glue this in place right here. And be really careful that you don't burn yourself when you're doing this. So now I've got the basket hot glued together, but it is a little bit orange. So what I thought I would start off with is just white waxing it to see if I can tone it down. I don't really want to spray paint it. I was thinking maybe I could do a wash on it, but since it does need to be sealed because it's going outside, I thought, you know what, maybe just putting some white wax would work. So I am again using this same Jolie's finishing wax. And so this is an experiment. I am just trying to see if this would work. You know, I think I need to darken it with some dark wax first, and then if it gets too dark, put this on. So I'm gonna switch gears here. Okay, so I have this Waverly like antiquing wax, and I'm going to pour some of it in here, and we'll try a little bit of this, and if it's too dark, I might lighten it up by adding some water to it or potentially going over it with the white wax again. But I'm gonna start up here. I already like this better. I like it better. And I can't exactly tell if I need to water it down yet or not because I'm going over the places that I've already put some white wax on. So I'll be able to tell soon here. Okay, this part I did not put any white wax on yet. And I think I like it. I'm just gonna put this darker, this antiquing wax on the whole basket and see how that looks, because we do get to wipe it off as well, right? With wax, you put it on and then you kind of buff it. I'm gonna go ahead and put this wax on the entire basket, and then we'll get back together and decide if we like it or not. One of the things that I'm doing is trying to go with the way that the basket is weaved. So you can see I'm not going across, I'm going with the weave. Okay, I've got a microfiber cloth, and I'm just gonna rub. And if you're wondering how long I left it on just enough time for me to do the whole thing. So I wanna say like 15 minutes. I'm just going to rub down and remove off any excess wax. Okay, I've got it all done, and I still don't love the color. So now to try to apply the white wax on top and see if it tones down that orangey color a little bit more. I'm definitely liking the look of this better with the white wax on. And I think I even like some of these high lines where the wax is showing a little bit more. So I'm gonna go a little bit heavier in places to leave some of that a little bit more withered look. So that side or this side, I'm definitely liking the white wax side. I do have to say that once you start using this white wax, you like want to white wax everything. So it's a little bit addicting. I just love the way it like softly weathers everything and mutes out the colors. I'm gonna go ahead and keep up with this, and then I'll show you the finished. Now, once I finished white waxing it, I still thought that it was not the right color. So I grabbed my white acrylic paint and I watered it down quite a bit, and then I did a light coating of white over the entire thing. And now I love the way the finish is. And I couldn't find the footage, so I'm so sorry that I lost it. So now we're gonna decorate the basket. So the first thing that I did was add a heavy book into the basket, since I am putting this outside and we do get big winds here in Tennessee from time to time. I've got 2 of those bunches of yellow flowers that I picked up from the bins, along with 1 little pack of those green and white flowers that I got 40% off at Hobby Lobby. And I put them into a styrofoam block, also from the Goodwill Bins. And now what I'm doing is just bending the stems into shape, both the flowers as well as the greenery with the white flowers. And then I decided to just let the basket lid go ahead and collapse naturally on top of the flowers. And the most important thing to help your items look real, your faux flowers, your plants, your Christmas tree, is to really play with the flowers or play with the items until they're shaped exactly the way you want them. And I think they look so cute. Next, we're gonna make a bow, and I'm using the burlap ribbon that I hauled from the Goodwill Bins, and I discovered a new way to make a bow for me. I am pulling out the ribbon to make 1 loop on one side and then 1 loop on the other side. No twisting or anything, because the burlap ribbon really is double-sided. And then I'm making 2 more loops. The next one's just a hair larger. Again, no twisting at all. And then I'm going to go ahead and squish the center together a bit. And I'm going to cut off the end of the ribbon. Now I'm going to take one side and fold it over, and then I'm going to take the other end of the ribbon and fold that over, going in the opposite direction. And then you just tie the 2 ends together, and that's all there is to it. I'm just going to fluff the ends of the bows, able to make that bow, so I'm able to use those excess pieces to tie that straight onto the basket. And now I'm just going to cut off those excess ends from the back of it, and I get to decorate the bow. So I'm going to add a sweet bunny to the top of the basket and the handle, and put a wonderful carrot right in the middle of the bow. So now we're ready to take this on outside, and let's go put it on the patio. Those birds sing so wonderfully. And look how the basket turned out. I think it is so sweet. That color is so great. I love how it's a contrast to the weathered table beneath it. And that bunny and the carrot just add the perfect touch. And the yellow is such a happy, welcoming spring color. And if you're wondering how we did on the cost, I paid about $7 for the basket and all the paint that I used. And that compares to $87.48 for the same basket that I found at 3D Bath and Beyond, I think it's called. That's a savings of $80.48, over a 90% savings. And that brings us to our 10th and final project for our transformation, and I'll be sharing that full reveal in just a moment. I've got one more smaller wreath to make, and this wreath is to go inside those frames that we've been putting on the wall. And I am starting with this beautiful boxwood base that I did haul from the Goodwill Bins last week, and it is soft to the touch. It is such a high-end wreath. And what I'm doing now is taking those leftover sprigs from that Hobby Lobby garland that I used before, and I'm going to glue them all the way around the outside of the wreath to make it a little bit larger and more substantial. I just love how it is turned out. And so the next thing to do is to add that famous alien tape onto the back of it so we can attach that to the wall. And you can see that I attached it to that black and gold frame. And then as I back out, you can see how we have made a picture within a picture. I love that. But I also needed to cover up those switches, so I just made a burlap bow and I attached that, you got it, with alien tape. And now let's do the final reveal. I am in love with my patio, so here is that beautiful frame within a frame with the boxwood, and that can be changed out for seasons. I already have ideas, so stay tuned for the next season. And look at the couch. Oh, it looks so good. And our fire pit has been all cleaned, and I've got some fresh flowers over there. So I'm a believer that you have to have both fresh as well as faux flowers. Otherwise you miss out on the goodness and even more beauty of freshness. So here on the other side, facing the couch, are these incredible chairs. Look how they turned out. Oh my gosh. And eventually I would love to get some beige covers for them, but for now the blue is definitely serene and I love it. And there's the bunny basket, and that is how the table turned out. And then if you look across the way, there is that beautiful pegboard. I-L-O-V-E it. I love the vintage knobs. I love how distressed it is. And then here is our back door, which we really use as our front door. And there is that wreath. And I did go in and add just a tiny touch of baby's breath to add a little bit of brightness. And I thought just having a few streamers hanging down below of burlap to tie in with a burlap hanger on the top would be a beautiful accent. And then there's the fern. Oh my gosh, I just cannot believe that that is faux. And as we come on over to this other side of the porch, we've got the chairs, and then we've got our little coffee table that was also painted. Oh, I love it. And there is our basket. Right, do you not love this basket and the way it turned out? Look at all that weathering from all those different layers of paint that we did. It was a lot of work, but boy, did it turn out nice. And there are those flowers, those yellow flowers from the bins, and the green and white are from Hobby Lobby. There is the most gorgeous rabbit that, again, my sweet friend Dale made, and she made another one of those sweet little carrots. And I've just got that attached to the burlap. And here is our beautiful, beautiful birdhouse, right? I love the way that looks. And also wonderful candlestick. So I love how it turned out. Tell me, which was your favorite project? Tell me if you are gonna do any spring refreshing too. I just want to let you know that last night my husband and I, we just sat out here. Even though it was cold, we had the fire going and we just enjoyed it. It's such a blessing. So I hope that you are able to find some beautiful cozy discoveries too, to make your house the dream place, the restful place, the tranquil place, the place filled with love. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.